Wealthsimple had another product release event and I was able to attend it in person for the second time. In this video, we're gonna walk through everything that they announced, my honest thoughts on everything, and I'm gonna talk about how they plan to bring stuff that's typically saved for the ultra rich to everyday people like you and I. This event was called For Nerds Only, and I was pretty excited about that because I do consider myself a nerd. Wealthsimple defined nerd perfectly in the event, and they said a nerd is someone who cares more than the average person thinks is reasonable. The graphics that they showed on their emailers and on social media led to believe that this was mainly focused on people who are day traders or people who trade stocks and crypto. Now, I'm not necessarily a day trader myself. However, I was still excited to attend this event to learn a little bit more about what they're building and if it's something that I might use in the future. Throughout the presentation, you'll come across three themes, and that is low cost, access to the best investments, and taking calculated risks. Wealthsimple believes to build wealth, you need to do all three. Wealthsimple categorized their announcements in 4 different segments, and that is pro tools, new types of portfolios, accelerated retirement, and one big shiny object. That is their big surprise for the end. So let's start with pro tools first. The first announcement started with a bang, and that was $0 options trading. The entire room loved that, and looking online, Reddit, on their live, everybody loved that it was $0 for options trading. Another first of its kind in the country. Personally, I don't do options trading, but I could see how this was a really big thing. They are going to be the first brokerage to offer $0 options trading, whereas other options would cost you about $1 to $2 per options trade. In a way, it could be a good thing to get people onto the platform and to possibly explore options trading, but at the same time, that could also be a bad thing, getting people into options trading who don't necessarily know what they're doing. Because it's free, more people might take that risk versus if you had to pay a couple dollars to get into an options trade, you might be a little bit more reserved, or you might think twice about it before getting into it. The next thing they announced is crypto trades as low as 0.5%. Now keep in mind of their wording about this, it is as low as 0.5%. So on the highest end, it's 2% to trade crypto within their platform, and as low as 0.5%. Now, how much you're paying depends on 2 main things. That could be what type of client are you? Are you a basic, premium, or generational client? That'll depend on how much assets you have within the platform. And it'll also depend on how much crypto trading you're doing every single month. So I'll throw up a quick graph here that will show you where you might be in terms of fees, but this announcement is as low as 0.5%, but technically it's also as high as 2%. Next, they have AI search. This is their way of integrating AI into their platform. They believe that people spend way too much time on Google searching for a ton of different things on a company, from expense summaries to news to earnings reports, earnings dates. And even as they were saying this, the people behind me were like, that takes me forever. This will allow you to make quicker decisions, and all within one app. That's not the only AI feature that they released. They also released something called AI research. And what they explained this to be is an AI agent that will help you make decisions on the back end so that you don't miss anything. So they were explaining a situation where you could set up a trigger event for your AI agent to purchase any stock at whatever price you needed to. It could be checking for you every single day, and instead of changing your settings and making those trades every single day, just imagine making one trigger event and that your AI agent will take care of that for you as long as you keep the setting on. I think it's a cool use of AI, and it just makes sense. I personally probably won't use it. I invest for the long term, and I just have my automated ETFs, and I just buy into those every single month. No need to use AI for that. I just dollar cost average and I buy when I can. Next, I have an all-in-one dashboard, and I'm someone who loves a visual. I love a good dashboard. So seeing this made me really happy. It has things like your dividends that you received, unrealized gains, how much you invested or contributed, and it also shows a couple winners and losers of your stocks portfolio. So I think I love this. I'm a big fan of seeing everything in one spot, in one clean, crisp dashboard. So I'm excited to check this out more. And the last announcement in the Pro Tools category is this thing called Norbert's Gambit. Now, I do consider myself a nerd and I love finances, but I haven't heard of this before. So this was new to me, but everyone in the room, for the most part, seemed to know what it was. But for those who didn't know what it was, they explained Norbert's Gambit, and what I thought was really funny and really cool is that right behind me, Norbert himself was sitting there, and they got him to come up and explain what exactly this is. So essentially, Norbert's Gambit is a way for investors to pretty much get rid of or really lower their FX fees when they go to buy Canadian and US stocks with Canadian dollars and US dollars. I don't currently see a use for this myself. However, I am a very savvy person and I love that there is a savvy way to do something like this, and to hear it from Norbert himself was pretty cool. Now that segment was pretty big into nerds. That was very much tailored to people who day trade, and a lot of the concepts and terms went right over my head. I'm definitely gonna research and learn a little bit more. It was definitely past my knowledge base. But the next few ones I do think are more tailored to the everyday person, more understandable to the everyday investor. And these are the announcements and products and services that they are bringing to everyday people like me and you that is typically held for the ultra rich. So the next part of the presentation focused on different types of portfolios. They started off with explaining the history of mutual funds and how they really blew up in the 80s and allowed everyday people to get into stocks, but then now are still around, but us as Canadians get charged the highest mutual fund fees in the whole world. And so as much as they do love the concepts of mutual funds, they don't like the high fees and high costs of them. So they created something that's called the Summit Portfolio. That is their next flagship portfolio, which essentially has similar exposures that a mutual fund would have, with some additional things like real estate, private credit, and private lending, but without the high costs. Their cost of this portfolio is going to be around 0.44%. That is quite lower than the 2% average mutual fund in the country right now. I think this is great. So anything that is lower cost will help you down the future in terms of compounding interest. And they even showed in a 20-year span that you'll be 50% richer by the time that time comes by paying lower fees instead of the high ones that are currently out there right now. The next thing I really liked, I didn't really know about it too much, but the second the title came up, like I knew what it was. This next product is direct index investing. From my understanding is that you are buying into all of the companies that are in the index. However, you own each individual stock, and then you have the same percentages as the index would have. So you have the same exposure, you have mirrored results of up and down gains and losses of the index. However, you do have a lot more flexibility and control. And the most important part is that you're able to leverage something called tax loss harvesting. In direct index investing, let's just say that one company is Walmart. That's what they used in the presentation. If Walmart goes down and there's a capital loss, what they'll do is they'll sell the Walmart stock and they'll replace it with another stock or company that's in a similar industry. However, you're able to capitalize on the Walmart stock loss to then use that to tax loss harvest in order to save you on taxes. So it's a way for investors to be a little bit more savvy and squeeze some more gains out of their investments. They projected you could increase your annual returns of about 0.5% by tax loss harvesting. I think this is really cool and I'm excited to learn more about it because this is something that I'm already currently doing. So if it's a way for me to squeeze a little bit more gains out, I'm all for it. So this is probably the first new product or service that they released that I can see myself doing right away. So that is it for their new types of portfolios. And now they moved on to their next category, which is accelerating your retirement. The first thing that they're focusing on is the RRSP. They talked about the RRSP and how it's hard for younger generations, younger people to save for retirement. It's definitely not the same landscape that our parents were in when they were our age. And now we have to, again, be a little bit more savvy and do different things, take calculated risks to still have a good retirement. They talk about how the dilemma with retirement accounts is that when people are young, they have little money, but they have a ton of time. So that's how they're able to save up a lot for retirement, is because they have time on their hands, not necessarily a lot of money. And then when you're older, you have a lot more money, but you have a lot less time. So older people are banking more on larger investments, larger contributions, because they have a lot less time. But a lot less time also comes with a lot more risk. They don't have the same amount of time to weather it out like younger people do. So they came up with this solution to accelerate your RRSP contributions by allowing people to have more money while still having more time. So pretty much the best of both worlds. And they want to do this with an RRSP contribution loan, where they will loan you money at a low rate when you're young to max out those contributions into your RRSP. That will allow compounding interest to do its thing over time. And at the same time, every single year that you're contributing to your RRSPs, maxing it out, you are getting a good tax refund from it. I'm excited about this because I'm someone who loves leverage. However, I'm curious to see what the terms and conditions are. I want to know what the percentages are for the loan. I want to know what the terms are for repayment. I know they mentioned on your terms and on your timeline, so I'm curious to see more about what they mean by that. So this could be something that we'd utilize ourselves once it's available or not. It'll really depend on what those terms and conditions are. They also want to accelerate your retirement by allowing you to have your own all-in-one wealth management team. This includes a tax specialist, loan specialist, and estate planner. Wealthsimple wants an all-in-one team to help you grow, build, and plan for retirement. This plan is going to come at a cost of about 0.5 to 0.9%. They did fail to mention in the presentation that you need a minimum of $500,000 in assets. So essentially you have to be a generational member to have access to this. So it's not entirely available for everybody until they reach a certain point. I thought that this was cool because the way they showed it in the presentation is that you pretty much have access to your wealth management team anytime. If you have questions or if you wanted to plan anything, like you got a bonus and you didn't know where to invest it, or you want to save for a house or save for a vacation, how can you structure it so that they can create a plan for you to achieve that goal? They'll walk you through everything pretty seamlessly, it looked like. Again, it's not available to everybody, but I think it's a good option if that's something that you want. So the last thing that they announced, their surprise, their one big shiny surprise, is gold. They are now gonna allow their users to buy gold directly in the app. They showed an example and it took about 5-10 seconds to buy about $10,000 of gold. Wealthsimple will hold your physical gold for you free of charge, or if you want, you do have the option to get your gold sent to you, you'll get a special Wealthsimple coin mailed to you, but that comes at a minimum cost of about $5,000 or however much that coin is. So it's not like you have $100 in gold and they could send that to you. It has to be enough for one gold coin. I thought this was cool, but at the same time, Mal was like, I don't know how I feel about having $5,000 of my gold just mailed to me. Like, what's the insurance? I feel like I'd be anxious and nervous the whole time until I have the physical gold with me. But even then, I feel like, yes, it'd be cool to have the gold in your home, but then I'd still be scared that I'd lose it. Luna might eat it, someone might take it, I don't know. It'd be cool to have gold, but at the same time, I think I would just rather buy gold through Wealthsimple and have them hold it for me. This couldn't have come at a better time. I've been really looking at gold because it's been having a gold rush right now. I think it's up 60% or more in the year. It hit a new all-time high. Everyone's talking about gold. And honestly, I found it difficult to find a place to buy gold. I had to Google, how do I buy gold? How do I buy gold ETF? And there wasn't anything clear that came up. So I'm glad that Wealthsimple now has that option that's super simple and easy and within a platform that I'm already using every single day. And that is it. That is everything that Wealthsimple announced at this event. Essentially, it's clear that they want to help provide their users with more ways to build wealth, especially ways that are already out there to the ultra wealthy and bringing that to everyday people. There were some criticisms that I've seen online and through some conversations in person, but the most common one I think I saw was that they went from wealth simple to wealth complicated, which is kind of true. I mean, they went from just a simple buy, hold, invest kind of philosophy and strategy to now doing options trading, secured calls, whatever, day trading, lingos and stuff. But again, at the end of the day, I think it's still great overall. And they do still have all the other features that they are releasing and that they're building. And if you don't currently have a Wealthsimple account, click our referral link below, sign up, fund the account, you'll get some money, we'll get some money, and let's invest and build wealth. And if you wanna join a community of like-minded individuals, Mal and I are building a community just for that. This is gonna be a community to help you build your own personal money machine so that you could say no to what drains you, hell yes to some big opportunities, and never have to live a life where finances are gonna dictate your decisions. If that sounds like you, click the link below and join the waitlist.